Welcome everyone to episode 5.2 of Retro Encounter. I'm your host Josh Curry. We're here to talk about Terranigma, and with me is a great cast. We have Jesse Wu.
Hi.
Davi Tesnovich.
Hi everybody, I'm here to talk about the Terranigma.
And Peter Triezenberg.
Terranigma?
What does that even mean?
Terra, yes.
Okay, we've got controversy already.
I just wanted to...
Yeah,
Yeah.
You guys are just supposed to say, "Hey, what's up?" You didn't have to start off with a controversy of what the name is to start off with. Come on, guys. So yeah, as Davi pronounced correctly, we're here to talk about Terranigma. I think this is gonna be an interesting podcast. I feel like in the past, a lot of times the second podcast has been very, very strong feelings, either positively or negatively. I feel like this time we're actually leaning towards a little bit just kind of in the middle, so I'm interested to see where all this goes. Personally for me, I think the most excited about the game out of everybody. I've actually been really enjoying it. What about you, Peter?
I've been enjoying it. I'm having some minor issues with it that we'll get into later on, but I think for the most part, I'm pretty positive on it.
What about you, Davey? No.
I'm feeling really good about it right now. I had a hump with it that I kind of struggled to get through, but the area we left off in, like, I'm really into what's going on right now, so I'm into it.
Yeah, and I guess we should say where we ended off with, right? So we played through the end of chapter 2, and then we just played the first section with kind of the zombie land in chapter 3.
The zombie land, yeah.
Zombies.
What about you, Jesse?
I appreciate some of the different things that it's trying to do, but I'm very frustrated at other parts with some of the level design and some of the triggers that you need to progress, or I end up, sort of beating my head, and I don't really want, I'm older now and I don't want to deal with that, basically.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff with how the levels are designed. Like, I think it's during the bird level, no, the rock level, wherever. I think that was for the birds though. And you have to slide along the edge of the world, and there's stairs right there. I'd almost always go up these stairs, but instead I'm supposed to go to the edge and crawl along this, and then it opens this huge section. It's like that traditionally would make no sense.
Mm.
And that's where.
And then
go ahead, Peter.
If you slip, you might have to redo a huge chunk of the level all over again.
Yeah,
that's freaking. Oh, that's a big pet peeve of mine in a.
And the boss is basically Moldorm from Link to the Past, where if you fall off, you have to start the fight again.
Yeah.
Do you actually start the fight again? I mean, the fight starts again, but does his HP start over again?
I actually do not know.
He doesn't have a ton of HP to begin with.
And that's what I wasn't sure, is because when I eventually killed him, I 2 or 3 hits. And so I wasn't sure if because I fell off probably about 20 times.
Okay.
So I was like, I usually hit him a couple times and I'd fall off, and I'd hit him a couple times and fall off, and I figured all of that culminated in me beating him. So I wasn't really sure.
So maybe it does retain damage. I don't know.
Or maybe some of the damage. I don't know.
So we're talking about
either way,
the bird level, right?
Yeah, the twin birds, and then also getting to the birds.
I actually killed him really easily.
Part of the game so far.
Really?
I just did a couple of dash attacks and he died, and that was it. So
yeah, and that's how I ended up killing him. So maybe it doesn't keep the health. Yeah, it wasn't a hard fight. That was the most irritating thing. None of the boss battles really have been hard.
No, well, I think they've been fun though.
Yeah, I'm not a knock on them at all. I've actually enjoyed that. There's enough little bit of a twist in it, and it's not I along the edge of a level is a stupid twist. That's a huge hidden secret that it shouldn't be there. But the boss battles have enough patterns, enough changes and whatnot that they stay fresh and interesting.
this section of the game, though, one thing that really frustrated me is the items you get from dungeons, like the Raz Leaf and the Talons. Like, those are not empowering at all. You're just like, oh, now I have to go where I have, or now I get to go where I have to go. Like, that's not really fun, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's a key, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure,
Yeah, kind of.
Last episode we were comparing Terranigma to like the Zelda series, and I think a big difference between the design of Zelda and the design of Terranigma is that in Zelda, when you get a new item, it's awesome. Like, it opens up all these new avenues for you to explore, and you can go and find like all this hidden stuff, not just in the dungeon, but in the overworld as well. And so far in Terranigma, I've not been feeling that.
Yeah, like, I'm interested what those... I forget what else you get in this game, because there's like a couple more slots down there after the bit that we covered.
I actually didn't have a problem with it. Definitely like the claws. Those claws are really cool, first of all.
The animation is cool.
Yeah. And then on the same level we're complaining about with the birds about getting around, I just kind of moseyed around for a while. And there's when you're like, you fall down that big hole and you're supposed to like move around and whatnot. I feel like there's a lot. I mean, I know there's ultimately not, because these maps are actually pretty small. They seem bigger than they actually are. But I felt like I was wandering around enough and I was screwing up, and then I don't use health items in the game.
What?
How?
I haven't really had an issue with it.
I burned through them. Like, I could see...
Same.
If you were on your on point, you could easily hit, because like you could get so many invincible frames in this game.
Oh, so like what I do is I just like, if I die, I die. I go back to the save point. Everything carries over, and so then I get to grind. Everything stays exactly the same. So you basically just grind out experience. So then I just mosey around for a while. And so I do not use, unless I get to the point like the birds. I used health potions because I got really pissed because I kept falling off.
Sure.
And I was just like, I'm done with this level at that point. But for the most part of that, I'll show up. Like, I've walked into dungeons and had like 2 health to start off with, and I'll go for a while, and I'm like, if I die, I die, and then I eventually do, and I go through the same stuff again. And
you should really pick up Galaxy, Josh.
But yeah, it's just like the great thing about this game is I have never felt stressed at any point during it.
It's very forgiving when you die. I do appreciate that.
It's a friendly romp.
Yeah, I think the theme of this whole chapter is really relaxing. Like, I love plants and birds like a lot. It's just really refreshing.
Like talking to them.
Oh, it sounds like a terrible admission to something. No, you guys, I really like plants and animals.
Well, specifically birds, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There's a very specific corner of the internet for that.
It just, I have some fun parrots in my Facebook feed.
Nice.
I have a picture of golden curry in my Facebook feed now. So thank you, Davey.
You're welcome.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know how to segue back into a game from that.
I was just gonna say, it was really personally motivating to like save the plants and save the birds and stuff, and like I get kind of frustrated with the Lion King segment because like I don't care about these mammals.
I love the Lion King segment.
The Lion King segment was terrible. Okay, so you have to like go following that little. There's an escort quest. There's a freaking escort quest in this game.
I think it is the best escort quest I've ever played in a video game.
It's terrible. Wow. Oh my god. I couldn't believe what was before my eyes. And I'm like, I really just have to walk next to this little lion cub, and I have to pace him just right going over this bridge.
That was annoying. I will readily admit that. Like, going across the bridge, that was terrible. Because I was standing, I think I was too high, so I was clipping through the top. And so he left me at first. And I'm like, well, that sucks. And then you have to wander through. I'm like, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. So I rushed ahead, and then he fell. And then the third time, I don't know what happened, but he fell again. So I had to do that like 4 times across the bridge.
It's really aggravating. And then you get to the boss, or the little mini boss, right? And apparently I had to go find this on the guide. You have to throw the stone at him, But
Yeah.
the stone is the same texture as the little stone maze that you just walked through. So like, there's no indication to the player that okay, like I didn't even see the stone. I didn't even notice it because it was just part of the background to me.
Mm.
See, I avoid everything. I literally avoid everything. So I assume that had to be something. So that I didn't have that issue. I had an issue that not being able to tell the difference between the two colors of the birds. Supposedly one's green and one's something else, or brown. I don't know. They both look brownish green to me.
Oh, bummer.
So well, it's easy though. You just hit the bird when it goes to the ground, so it's not that big of a
Yeah.
deal. And one's trying to poop on you, and so I'll avoid him.
That was an interesting battle tactic. The bird summoned help. Other bird shows up and just starts pooping.
Yeah. Although if they both would have been doing that like opposite directions, that would have made that absolutely horrific.
Well, you still could have done it.
And Davey, can you block in this game?
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know what attacks it works on.
Because I've
Like-
never learned how to block.
Small attacks. Like I used it in the mud monster guy in the Lion King section.
Okay.
His little,
So,
yeah, like his little pea shooter attacks. You can block those.
see, I just always run everywhere. I'm constantly running at all times.
Yeah.
So I just avoid
Same.
everything.
Like a little child with ADD. It's
Yeah.
all over the place.
But yeah, I knew I was going to be the only one on this. That Lion King segment was fantastic.
Wow, I'm just shocked to hear you say that.
Um,
Okay, cool.
Mainly though, and I wish more games did this. I can only think of really this, and I can think of Killzone 2, where there's a boss or a major figure that you have to kill, and they don't have the main character do it.
Oh.
And it was super annoying, but when you beat the slime guy and he tricks you and you fall down, and you have to listen to him fight, like I actually enjoy that there's other characters that can make a difference in the world beyond just you. And so I respected that. I don't understand how the lion flies down the side of a cliff to you and then flies back up. We'll ignore that. But I actually enjoyed. I mean, first of all, it's a mini story. I think out of all the chapters or the sections, that's the most concentrated mini story that we have. We actually see somebody basically do a coming of age story. But then I also enjoyed the fact that, like I said, he actually beats the boss for you and saves you.
Yeah, that was effective, for sure.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'll grant that narrative-wise, but playing through the actual dungeon was terrible for me.
Yeah, especially when you do the maze part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
You know, what was cool, though, was the sad goat story.
What?
The sad goat story?
That's
In
not-
the...
that's not funny.
Yeah.
Oh
Keep
yeah,
going.
yeah. Where the human souls are trapped, Tibet, wherever.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, yep. That's right.
Yeah. Would you eat your
No, that was...
spouse if they were dead and the only form of sustenance?
Yes.
Man, yeah. Yeah.
This podcast can go a really dark place really quickly, so I'm gonna turn this around.
You know what? That's really the feeling of this game, though. Like, you're having a fun, good, carefree time, and then it just drops some super heavy baggage on you.
Yeah.
Like, out of nowhere.
Even the music changed like really
Yeah.
starkly. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Oh no.
Yeah, that got real dark, real fast. It just turns on you, man. But man, I think it's so much more affecting that way too. And then when you finally get out of there, and you're like, okay, well, peace. I'm gonna climb up this wall now.
I'm just gonna leave you behind.
Yeah.
So I actually have a question about the human section.
Huh.
Are these different humans than the humans that you used to hang out with?
Yeah.
It's unclear, I think. Right.
So like, if you're having the humans emerge back to Earth, why aren't your people here? Why are they stupid enough to stay down underneath the Earth?
I don't know.
Oh.
Right, because the big thing is you go into I forget what the castle is called, but then there's the Princess Ellie.
Yep.
So, and Ark's like, oh, she's like Ellie, but she's not like my Ellie. But it's another enigma.
Yeah,
That kind of bothered me.
I think it's intriguing. They're definitely doing something there, and I'm interested to pull that thread and like see where it leads.
The other shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, we got an answer where the humans were. You know, like how we were talking about if they were in hell or wherever
Yeah.
they were. They're just underneath the mountains, or at least the humans that you save. So I'm not sure if that counts as us as well, like Ark and Ellie. Yeah, like the lions
Arguably,
at one point said that they're just hanging out, or one of the birds or pelicans or something.
yeah, I was reading about that, and I guess the idea is that the planet in Terranigma is hollow, and humans live on the interior surface as well. Because remember, when you jump in the hole, you come out the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stupid.
yeah, that doesn't make sense with the way gravity works. But
Whatever.
Gravity just pulls you down. Right? You just go down.
right, of course.
It's a Mobius strip of a planet.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they introduced like the Mobius strip in here at some point.
I feel like we've seen the planet enough to know that it's not a Mobius strip, though. Just saying.
Well, that and it's literally Earth. Like, it cracked me up when you do the wind veil thing and you fly to this cave by the Great Lakes.
Yes,
And
from Colorado.
yeah, right.
And then go basically across a river and you end up in Africa.
And, like, just to be clear, like 3 of the people on this podcast could drive to the Great Lakes like a couple hours.
Well, I'm like 10 minutes away.
Yeah, sure.
But it would take me much longer to drive to Colorado.
Right?
But I am also not on the back of a white bird, so that might be my problem.
Yeah.
I should go pigeon crawling.
And that white bird needs a GPS system because that thing goes past where you're supposed to go like 10 times. Like, oh, there it is. No, we're coming back around. Oh, there.
Around.
Oh, no, let's just keep
Yeah.
flying around, sure.
They really wanted to show off that pseudo 3D.
Yeah.
What is he carrying you in? Is that like are you in a sack? Like, what is that?
You know, like a little stork carries the babe, like like a little bundle. I don't know.
Nope.
Every-
Jesse nailed it.
I'm pretty sure he has you facing birds, too. Like, are you trying to get me motion sickness?
It's true.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
So let's just whip around in circles and not actually make me so I can see what's going on. Terrifying.
Did any of you go to Japan once you'd restored humanity?
No. I think you're the farthest along.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's,
you are.
it's actually like you have to backtrack. Like you have to go back to the safari and talk to the seagull and go.
Is he the right seagull?
Well, there's the seagull that took you to the safari, so he'll take you back to the bird sanctuary, and then you talk to the middle seagull, I think, and he'll take you to Japan. And you
Okay.
can go to Neo Tokyo.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's just weird because Neo Tokyo is basically just regular modern day Tokyo. It's like everything else is completely backwards, and Neo Tokyo is just a modern city.
Isn't the developers room there?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I would assume so.
Maybe.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
this game-
just gonna agree with you.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of just like a bunch of weird things happening in there too. Like there's a policeman interrogating a penguin.
This sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm confused though. It was after you resurrected humans because you
Af-
can't talk to birds.
Yeah, you'll just talk to them, and there's basically you have a dialogue choice. It's like you can choose all exclamation marks or all periods, and if you choose
Okay, sure.
exclamation marks, it'll just take you. So that's why you kind of have to just know where you're going. Otherwise, you'll have to go through that long sequence and then end up in some place that you don't want to end up.
Speaking of conversations and explanation points, I kind of enjoyed with the whole zombie thing that you could tell that one guy to take his money with him when he died,
Yeah. That
and
was
then
cool.
you get to where he died and there's a bunch of money sitting there for you.
Yep. 500 jewels.
Even though money basically doesn't mean anything in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe you're wrong.
I buy everything that I get a choice to buy.
No, I think
Yeah.
we're coming up right at the end of this, the point where you start developing different cities. I think you need to dump a bunch of money into that. I could be wrong.
Makes sense.
I've bought everything in the game, and I think I still have like 2,500 gems.
Wow. Well, that's a lot more than me, but I
Well,
can see that.
we've already established that he just wanders into dungeons and
Right.
dies repeatedly.
Yeah, it works out really well. Or I'll just like,
Very lucrative business.
yeah, or I could not find the 4th soul orb or whatever for the first
Oh,
temple.
Yeah.
So I just went around killing things for about an hour. So I got a
Man.
lot of gold during that.
That one I didn't get frustrated with because that area had great music.
Well, it was more just, I thought that was an enjoyable section. The music's been, I actually haven't really liked the music of the game. And I've
It's
purposely
hit and miss.
listened to the music for you, Davey.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, it's really hit and miss though. The world map music is really good too. I like that I just right at the part I left off at, I walked into a city and I was like, based on this song, I'm gonna have to say this is France. And it is. So that felt good.
The music is very appropriate to the situations you enter.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's more, I don't play a lot of old games. I play Super Mario World, and outside of that, I don't play old games. And so I think maybe that's more so what it is. This is the oldest game I've played in a long time. So maybe that's what's jarring for me.
You mean in terms of the sound?
Yeah, just like the
Yeah.
the audio quality, possibly.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm into it, yo.
No, that's not surprising. You're into anything that involves game music.
That's not true.
It's pretty close though.
Uh,
So, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a problem with that. Speaking of buying stuff, and I really, really, really hope somebody can help me with this. How do you use magic?
I think
Oh.
I think I know. You need a certain amount of Magirocks to buy charges. Isn't that how it worked?
Yeah.
You buy rings
Like
and
you buy-
badges.
You use gold and and a certain amount of Magirocks to put a certain amount of charges like on that ring,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then you get the Magirocks back. So it's like the more Magirocks you have, the more spells, the more times you can use spells.
How do you get the spells to be able to be used? Because I've bought every possible thing you can buy with
It's-
those Madrocks.
The jewel box item
Yeah.
in your it's in
In the menu.
it's in your inventory. It's a box in your box.
Yeah, because I go into that box, and I select on everything, and they're always like, oh, no, you can't use this. No, that's not appropriate.
Well, you have
No,
to be in
sorry,
the dungeon.
Sorry, come back again. Okay.
Yeah, you have to be in a combat situation, and then you can either equip it like a normal item, or you can just use it from the box.
Okay. Have you guys used the magic or no?
I haven't.
I don't really see a purpose to. I think usually I just charge up my is it the grass pin that heals you?
Yeah, that's the one. I use that
Yeah.
a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
should probably start doing that.
As I do keep a few fire spells on handy just because sometimes like with those birds, the birds in the bird dungeon, those things I was getting really mad at them. So at one point I just like started spamming fire spells until they were all dead, and then I felt.
Good
Yeah.
job.
And I was really torn about it because I felt like I knew they had talked about the jewel box, and I could obviously see it. I could buy stuff and put it in there. But then I'm playing through the game. It's like this isn't really necessary. I'm not having any issues with the game.
Yeah. Plus,
So-
I don't think they do a good job of explaining it.
No, and
No.
that's why I was waiting for like a tutorial possibly later. Like, oh, you've hit a wall now. You need to use magic. Let's go over how to use magic. Like, oh, okay, good. I have all these rings. So-
Yeah, they I think the only thing they say about that whole system is that you can use Magirocks to buy magic spells.
Yeah, and I've bought a boatload of spells.
I think it feels kind of token, if I'm being honest. Like, it feels like something that's just there because it was expected to be in there.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
It's pretty unwieldy too. Like the fire spell, right? You can't aim it in the way that I wanted to aim. Like you can't aim it up.
Yeah, you have to be you have to be facing the direction you want it to go, and then you have like a very limited radius that it can like be adjusted.
Well, in all fairness, though, that's how all of the attacks work in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously haven't used it, so I'm sure I'd get frustrated too. But that seems to make sense explanation-wise with how the rest of the game is going.
But I feel
I think in general,
Well, you might as well just attack everything.
Yeah, I just run around and jump at things.
yeah, no, that's the good stuff right there. You like do the slide stab.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
animation on that move is so cool. And I like that the color changes with every time you change your weapon.
Yeah, because it's a different staff.
Yeah, it feels so good.
So has that bothered you guys at all? So like a perfect example is during not the Lion King, the one with the water. They had to fill the moats.
Yeah.
At some point you still have your rock attacker, and you had to take it out and put the sticker in or stickler or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you come up to some rocks and you have to change back to that rock. Did that have any issues with anybody?
It annoys me every time, but it hasn't been
Yeah.
frequent enough to ruin my experience.
So
Yeah.
one of the things I was kind of worried about is because you can throw out any of your weapons at any time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never thought about it.
That's what that hole is for.
Yeah, you're right.
So what would happen if you threw out one of your weapons and then you can't get past those rocks?
That's a really good. I was thinking about that earlier too. And also when you go into the overworld for the first time, or the surface world, and if you don't buy the other staff from the shop in your town, like your crystal staff stops working, so you could be completely screwed. And there's no there's no hint to be like, hey, maybe you should get another staff, or like, like right before he sends you up there, he's like, oh, by the way, that weapon's not gonna work. So yeah.
Toodle.
I did not think about that. That's fantastic. Oh, I would have been pissed. I would have been so mad. But that is one of those things. I feel like that shows kind of the age of the game. Is there is some of that where we were talking about, like, why would you go off the screen to be able to get something, or why would you allow you to break the game for yourself? And that's definitely an older game trope where it allows you to be like, you know what? Yeah, you've been playing for 5, 6, 7 hours. Restart the game because you screwed up.
Yeah, a lot of that, the way they approach it almost reminds me of Dark Souls in a way. Like, and the way that they don't tell you about the deeper mechanics of the game also reminds me of Dark Souls.
Well, I think that's the attraction of Dark Souls. A lot of people would say that's a return to the golden age of video games.
Exactly.
I think it's actually the opposite of Dark Souls, because Dark Souls, like, you can figure everything out through the nice sort of trial and error system, and like there's no way to really completely screw yourself, I feel like, in Dark Souls.
Oh no, there totally is.
Oh
Is
yeah,
there?
there definitely is. Oh yeah.
I never found a point where I was like, oh, I can't progress, and I've built myself into a corner, or I've like, I don't know. So maybe I just got lucky.
Yeah, I think you've gotten fortunate. I know it's not. If you have game logic, I think in Dark Souls you can easily avoid that. It'll never be what you could have been, but you can avoid being like, all right, I have to turn this game off. But if you want to get like the maximum of everything, then you quickly get into a point. It's like, I need to start over. I don't care that I'm 20 hours in. This just isn't gonna work out.
Yeah, you can lock yourself out of stuff, and you can, like, there's certain things too where you can like lock yourself out of entire areas by like missing one little bonfire or something.
Yeah.
Because you go there and you don't light the bonfire, and then you die, but it was a one-way ticket, so you can't get back.
Which I know we're getting off topic here, slightly. Surprise. I actually enjoy that. As long as it makes it so that you, like in this case, if it made it so that you couldn't beat the game, I think that's bad game design. But if there is a segment of the whole everything that you just can't experience, but there's like something for you to come back in repeated playthroughs, I actually enjoy that. That's something I respect about Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's to the detriment here where if you actually can break the game, that would be, I think, a terrible thing.
Yeah, but who's going around throwing out their weapons?
Yeah.
I've been looking at them and come very close to throwing all of them out. And then I realized, oh yeah, these actually have specific attributes.
How many weapons are even in Terranigma? Like, it looks like there'd be enough space for.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, there's one for every one of those spots. I don't think it goes over.
So in that case, why do they even have the option to throw out weapons?
Because they're
Why is that
bastards. They're trying to screw you up.
They're trying to promote
They spend
recycling.
more time explaining how to throw shit out than they do explaining how magic works.
That is true. They're like, yo, if
Yeah.
anything ever gets full, just toss it in the hole. Take care of it.
and
Did
that
you
and
just
that
make a freaking rhyme?
Told you I was in a good mood today. It's gonna be a good podcast.
Gross.
Yeah, I don't know. I completely agree. I feel like they did a huge amount of tutorial for something that probably shouldn't be in the game, and if
Like-
anything, it's just gonna ruin your playthrough.
Yeah, they incepted that into us. Like, why are we talking about throwing stuff out in this game? Like, they spent an incongruent amount of time on how you throw stuff out,
It makes it seem like there has to be so much stuff that you have to start getting rid of things.
right?
And then 'cause right away I was like, oh, I can get rid of my light staff because that will never work upstairs, like upstairs, above the ground. I was like, well, maybe I come back, and then do I want that? It's gonna be like negative 50 power by then, and it's like, well, I don't need it then. So you're like playing that mental game in your head of like trying to get rid of stuff.
Why are you even thinking about it? You still have space, dude.
I always hoard things to the last
same.
possible moment.
I don't want to get over encumbered in a dungeon. I can't fast travel back then.
I just sell all my extra crap.
Yeah, I like this though.
Like, I don't even care.
Well, I guess each weapons and armor, don't they both have that one screen, or not one screen, but like those 4 spots for like uniques?
Do they?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because L's cape was one of them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which that's really depressing. Like that cape, I feel like should be like the best thing in the game,
Yeah,
or at least do something like it levels up with you.
or something special where you continue to use it instead of discarding it after 5 minutes.
Yeah, because all this game is there's so many interesting little stories, but ultimately at the end of the day, I think Ark and Ellie and that town is the overarching story beyond saving the world. We'll ignore that for now. And so like it's that love story, or at least that like connection between those two people. So they build this up to she is like going to protect you on your entire quest, and you literally
Yeah.
put it on, walk out, and be like, I don't want this garbage. I don't want anybody to see me with this. And you take it off right away.
Yeah, because what's the
You-
last
you
thing
let it-
she says to you?
Peter?
You let it take a hit for you from the Guardian guy, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Again.
true.
Get to the 5th tower.
It's another key, and then that's it. You use the key.
Yeah. Yeah. At least this one had an emotional impact, though.
Yeah, but I feel like this was a negative emotional impact for me. It's one of the few things I actually did not really didn't like about the game.
Well, I would hold your thoughts on that, because they actually play a lot with the relationship between Ark and the kind of immortal idea or spirit of Ellie and the way she exists throughout the rest of the game. Because like I think the last thing she says to you when you leave Krista is like, I'll always be watching you, or I'll always be with you, even if we're far away. And
That's
like
not
you
great.
go physically really far away from where you came from, but you still keep running into L. It gets weird. It gets weirder than it is right now, where she's just a princess.
So I think that's a really good thing. So we've kind of talked about it being weird. We've talked about it being obtuse in like some of the design and whatnot. Do you think that's for the benefit of the game, or is it a detriment?
I think there's a lot of bad level design, or just bad design, where the designers had some idea about what they wanted to put in, but they didn't really think about it from the perspective of the player, right? And like, how is the player going to actually experience this? And it leads to frustration for me.
And it seemed like that was what all three of you guys were having issue with, is kind of along that same lines.
Yeah, I
The
have to
thing-
agree.
Yeah, the thing that killed me, like Jesse said, is just the dungeon design is so freaking. It's not even obtuse. It's just kind of insane. Like, I'm usually really good at making like a mental map of where I am in an area in a video game, but in this game, like, it doesn't make any physical sense. Like,
Has anybody actually thought of just pulling up the map?
What?
Wait, there's a map?
I'm pretty sure there's a map inside your box.
Wow, we're having a reverse
Is it-
Josh
is it-
moment.
Is it just a world
just-
map though,
I don't know.
with like the continents on it?
I'm pretty confident in the central box of your box. There is a box that has a map.
Boxes?
Yo, Dad.
I'm gonna look right now.
Boxception.
If there's a dungeon map in this game, I'm gonna get really upset. If so,
Map.
I didn't find it the entire time I played it last
It's
time.
sitting next to your settings memo.
What?
It's not letting me pull it up though.
Are you in a dungeon?
Yeah.
Okay, good,
I
good.
think it's the world map then.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always thought about that because like this is really frustrating. Maybe I should go in there and look at the map. I'm like, nah, whatever. I'm just gonna keep moseying. It defeats the whole purpose of how I'm playing this game if I start looking at a map. So, okay, I would wonder. I figured somebody had pulled that up. I guess I assumed too much from you guys.
Well, I think it's
guess.
yeah, partly on us, but also partly on that bad menu, right?
Yeah. No, that menu is indecipherable sometimes. Where the locate even be one thing. I feel like if the armor and the weapons and the center and the whatever the fourth one is in different items, I guess. I feel like they even flip around.
Yeah, they do.
Like even if you're in items, and you go out of the box and come back in, like you're still in items, so the three should still be in the same places, but they're not. And if there wasn't actually a little thing that popped up, like, oh, this is this, I'd spend so much time in there. But I also don't use the box because I don't use items, so
Yeah,
solved.
that does sound appealing. Well, you can just equip like a stack of 9 M bulbs, and you can just
Yeah.
have that as your triangle button, or not triangle, but X.
I'm not using healing items. I don't need it.
Yeah, you a boss.
This is my leisure game.
How is it less leisurely if you heal yourself?
There's no stress. It's like, oh, I gotta pop that heal. I'm like, no, kill me, sure, whatever. I'll roll through some more rock guys and some birds, whatever.
So it's less stressful because you've just voluntarily accepted death.
I
It's
have
very
s-
poetic.
It's very Buddhist, actually.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
maybe you're the
embracing
one
the
getting it
game.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
you guys are all worried about the things that are inconsequential.
You
Wow.
breathe death in your Harry Potter.
Terranigma made Josh Curry achieve true Zen.
Yeah, this is probably the happiest I've ever been on a podcast. They did something right.
Yeah, I really think this game seems to be affecting you in a weird way, Josh Curry.
I've genuinely enjoyed this game. Even parts that I know are frustrating, like I will readily admit, being knocked off by a bird pissed me off. Going on the side pissed me off. When you fill up to the fourth or go to the third temple and have to go all the way back to get to the fourth temple, idiotic. Whatever though, like I've enjoyed the combat enough. I enjoy that you can choose to fight or not. Everything seamlessly works between each other. There's no loading time and whatnot. All of that works so well that it's like I'm willing to wander around a little bit. I'm willing to fight a little bit more, and everything I do actually gains. Like I get more money or I get more experience, so it's not that big of a deal. Although I would like to know how to use magic, so I'm very excited to try that tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool thing. Yeah, I guess if you're not healing, you would just use that button for spells all the time.
Nope, don't use that button for anything.
What? Just equip
He's-
your magic there.
He's saying now you can do that.
I'm probably gonna use magic once, and I'm like, no, I'm over this.
I just want to hit things with my stick.
Yeah, my stick is strong. It
I'm
knows how to hit things.
I'm so fascinated by you getting so into this game. That's awesome. Do you think it's just the core mechanics of it, or the speediness of the SNES, or do you think it's something about the theming and the overall package?
I wish I had a good answer for that.
Okay.
Legitimately. This is another one of those weird games. I feel whenever we do this podcast, there's always something that's pulling me, whether it's the schedule or whatnot. I always feel pressured to play the game. And with this game, there's just been large periods I've just not played it.
Yeah.
And it has not crossed my mind. It is not one of those things that I'm dreaming about. I'm not seeing the game in the world. Like, this is, when I'm not playing it, it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Whatever. But it is one of those games, as soon as I turn on, I feel like I do get a smile on my face.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I feel like I'm willing to, more so like when I've played games in the past for the podcast, I will sit down to play for 4, 5, 6 hours. I'll put this in for like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. And that will be my play session for the day. Or I'll play 10 minutes in the morning, half hour in the afternoon. And I'm not sure if it's how bite-sized it is, how there is no stress, because literally you don't lose anything if you die. But this is just a very, very calm game to me.
I think I get just today, like I said, I was getting back into it. The resurrection of the genius chapter. Like when I got to the France land, and I just like started walking around, like, okay, this feels like a real village. These feel like real people. And then I met that painter. Is it Matisse?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just getting kind of into it. Like it was just relaxing and good. The music was good, and I felt whimsical and good.
Whimsy's always the good thing.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Like when you talk to a red bird and he's like, I miss Alfred the rhino and Hector the lion and then so-and-so the monkey. And I'm like, you know what? You're crazy, but I like it.
And then when I like it when you start the bird place and you walk past that flower and he's like, I want you to know that we're always watching over you.
I know.
plants will
It's from like the
always be watching.
creepiest flower, too. I actually tried to beat crap out of that flower. I'm like, I'm not going over there. That thing's gonna kill me.
Wow.
I don't care about dying, but I care about dying to him. But I really want that box. How can I get over there? Like, let's kill him. Maybe I'll get like 50 gold from it.
Did you guys get real sad when you lost the power to talk to animals and plants?
Yes, I was just gonna bring that up. I'm like, oh, all my friends that were keeping me company in my quest,
Exactly.
they're all gone now.
Yeah.
I have to deal with people.
Yeah.
Oh.
People are the worst.
People suck.
No, I thought that was such a cool thing, like walking around, like every time you see like a plant sprite, you're like, I'm gonna go talk to that guy. Like that's a cool feeling.
Yeah, and I actually did that. Like, it worked out perfectly that there was a time period that I had just begun getting frustrated with the bird section, and there's this tiny little pool of water, and there's this tiny little red flower in there. I was like, oh, there's a flower, and I like sprinted across the screen. I was like, I gotta talk to him. Everything's okay now. Yeah.
It's like Narnia.
Yeah.
Well, there is like you're frustrated and then you see a friendly face, sort of face,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I think they do a good job actually having different personalities amongst the different types of animals and
Yeah.
different types of living things. There's definitely there's an idea of self, and there's just so much personality, I think, to the game overall. And I think some of it's insanity.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I was asking earlier. Is like I actually love, like, even when it's like this is just stupid insane. It's stupid insane to the point that I laugh. Like I genuinely giggle. I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And then it turns into other things like, oh, that's insane, and that's kind of interesting now. So I'm overall, I am shocked to say this, but I'm the most excited about this game out of all of us, I think.
Yeah.
I'm
I
happy
think that
for
might
you.
be a first.
Yeah. Although I started doing that on a different game, and I can't remember because I block out games. But then I feel like I did a terrible 180 and ended up hating the game afterwards, so I'm kind of terrified about that.
I mean,
Well,
you liked tactics, then you hated tactics, then you liked it again. So
yeah, that's true.
But the bigger one, I think, is I really liked the last story. Then I really didn't like that game.
No, the big one is Trails in the Sky.
We don't talk about that game.
So
Yeah.
did you? I don't know if did you get to the Frenchy town, Josh Curry?
No,
So
I murdered
there's this.
zombies.
Okay, there's this NPC in there, and it's like you don't know anything about the town building aspect of this game yet, but you walk up to him and he's like, "Hi, I'm an economist. This town is currently at 0% growth index," and you're like, "What?"
There's
Yeah.
worse things than 0%.
No, I just mean like that the gameplay implications of that are so weird.
Yeah, I got excited because you've been talking about the town building part.
Yeah.
And I love
Is
this.
that in this game?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He still doesn't believe it.
I pulled up because I got like honeydew or starry dew or wet dew. I don't know. And so I was like, what is this thing? This thing is 30 gold. Do I need a bunch of them? Because what I've been doing is I've been buying the max of all the items and just having them sit in my inventory.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll buy some starry honeydew. And I ended up looking up, and there's a camera in this game.
What?
There's a camera in this game. That's all I know. That's
Can
literally
you
the extent that I understand.
Elaborate?
Sure. Come on, Google.
Where are you trying to...
Like, it's in your inventory. There's a camera, or
No, it's not in my
move-
inventory. It's on Terranigma wiki. Camera, location, lore, helps in expansion if you take pictures of Suncoast and give them to tourist bureaus.
Oh yeah, that's true. I remember you take pictures of different vacation spots for like a tourism agency or something.
What?
Yeah.
So like a side quest?
Yeah, it's a side quest.
Okay.
What was another one that I really liked? I like that there's a place called Freedom.
Yeah, that's America.
I kind of figured.
Yeah, it's in California, or there's a Freedom, California, at least.
That makes sense.
That was the good one, though, was the camera. Yeah, Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But pretty flower found in Lori makes young girls and penguins happy.
Yes. Okay. So I bought those flowers, and I told you I ran into a penguin in Japan, right? So I backtracked all the way back through the desert, back to the safari, and flew to Japan. And I tried to give this penguin the flower, and it didn't work. It didn't do anything. I was so disappointed.
Rejected.
Try to get some mad game on with the penguin and shot you down.
Yeah.
That's
Penguin.
depressing.
Penguin waifu.
Only in
But
Japan.
yeah, there's just this game is a load of weirdness, and I'm really liking it.
Is it the sequel to Hatofu Boyfriend? No, first we had pigeon dating, we have penguin dating.
I'd be into that.
Oh, and there's a dog whistle, which to carry on Davy and my inside joke, I need it because the comment is it chases wolves away.
So I was gonna bring that up. I was walking through in Terranigma. I was walking through Wisconsin, and I was like, man, it's a good thing the sun's still out.
There's a lot of wolves carrying knives out there. Yeah, but let's get back to the game. I don't know. So I'm obviously excited to see the rest of it. It seems like the rest of you have kind of turned around. You guys are leaning towards getting progressively more excited as you've moved on past kind of the more tedious parts of Chapter 2.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I still am getting frustrated in places, but the game has enough charm, and I get drawn into the weirdness enough that I'm willing to keep going.
Okay. What about you, Peter?
Yeah, same. I was gonna say I like it, the style game. I think what's actually keeping me playing it more is the art style, or at least the sprite style.
Yeah.
Like, I just really like the backgrounds and the boss sprites, like the sprite for Parasite, the first.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
like-
really good.
That's really cool, and the way the boss, the actual part you have to fight, comes like in and out of the background and stuff like
Yep.
that. Like, it's just really neat. Like, one little thing that bothered me actually that I was meaning to bring up, that I've actually just remembered, in the plant dungeon.
Yeah.
Was I the only one who didn't realize that the little bulbs on the ground were treasure chests until?
It took a long
later.
time.
Yep.
Oh, I destroy everything,
Oh.
so I found out right away.
Kill it!
Yeah.
Oh no, there's treasure.
See, I was running past them until a good 3/4 of the way through the dungeon when I needed a thing from one of them. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh. And I backtracked some more.
Well, that's the other thing.
And
With...
got-
Sorry, I cut you off, Peter.
No, you're good.
Well, it's just the textures of the background things are the same as the textures for things you can interact with. And sometimes things you can interact with look or are not things you can interact with, even though in other areas you could. So it's just really confusing.
Like the freaking tables in the zombie town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like some of them fly at you, some of them don't do anything, and some of you have to push, but there's no discernible difference.
Yeah, so you just end up walking into all of them and take whatever damage comes, which is not very much.
Yeah, just eat it.
I think the coolest of the things being there but not really being there was the tumbleweeds in the water world, Animal Planet thing. If you pick them up, there's a bee underneath them.
Yeah.
So then you pick up the tumbleweed and you throw the tumbleweed through the bee and you kill the bee and then you get free experience.
Oh yeah.
So I went and threw all the tumbleweeds everywhere.
Just like the Legend of Zoltar.
Yeah.
The what?
The Legend of Zoltar.
Okay, again.
I'm just making a goof. It's fine.
Okay.
We really need to get me like a soundboard so I can occasionally mute Davey.
Wow.
Damn.
It's
It's
I
pretty
was going
harsh.
to say add like want-wahs and cricket sounds and just
Well, we could always talk to Marcos.
the John Cena theme music. I don't know.
And since Marcos is creepily listening to the podcast, hi Marcos. He said that instead of being a soundboard, it would be an unsoundboard.
Yeah. Again.
So said Cena.
Marcos makes the best dad jokes. Dude, so now that you guys told me that's John Cena's theme, I realize I've been hearing people do that everywhere. I just have always thought it was the Price is Right theme. And I'm like, why is everyone making that sound?
Oh, that's fantastic. I think that's the best way to end talking about this video game.
Wow. Okay.
So we're gonna kind of halt a little bit with Terranigma. We're gonna do some listener comments, but of course they're not gonna be about Terranigma. But most importantly, we got an email, and this is an email that I've been waiting for a very long time. It's from the immigration office.
What?
And it is confirming that my application for U.S. citizenship has been approved. But I can only get a green card for 1 month, so I should put in my visa information if I'd like to continue this.
Okay.
So that's
as
the
an
best comment ever.
Yeah, as an attorney, I can advise you not to do that.
Wait, I wasn't supposed to put all of my credit card information in there? Oh, damn. Alright. But this is... The comments we've gotten recently are very close to Davy's heart. And all of them are about Lost Odyssey. That seems to be what everybody wants to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like I have more people on my side than I have against me. That's even better.
Yeah, you're talking about the retro thread.
Yeah, it's wonderful in there. I love all the people in there.
Yeah.
But the best comment ever is from, and I hope I pronounced this right, Arvis.
Yeah, it's Arvis.
I think Lost Odyssey was the prettiest cheerleader in the farming village who has now moved to Manhattan and aged terribly. But all the people back home still think she's all that. And I think that sums it up perfectly, so thank you, Arvis.
I haven't played it since it was contemporary, so I can't speak to its aging.
Yeah,
But
yeah, those beer goggles on.
I was legitimately surprised to see so many people say that they don't like it, or they could see like why someone would hate it. Like I could see why someone would love it too, right?
No.
Oh, I guess not.
I haven't played it ever. It's been on my to-do list for I don't even know how long, but I've never owned a 360, and it's just one of those games I've always been curious about because Sakaguchi.
To be fair, I don't think it's an exceptional game. I think it's good. There were parts of the story I really, really liked, and I thought it was had decent combat and decent character growth. It was fun.
Yeah, and then I've actually had the same experience as Klutz64, who said what makes it worse is because I was saying that like people usually react really poorly if I say negative things, and Klutz64 was like, what makes it worse is if you say your least favorite parts of Lost Odyssey were those damn memories, which I completely agree. It's not. You just sit there reading this scrolling text, and it's like this is horrific.
See,
People get really upset about that because they're like, "Oh, that's the best part of this game." And I was like, "It's not a game; it's a book. Like, put that in the manual. Like, let's bring back manuals, you know, and let's like have a title that's something. Consult page 64. Sorry, Peter. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying you're talking to the visual novel guy on this podcast.
right? Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's something to having graphics and sound alongside text.
It's one of those things, though. I'm willing to concede that the stories in those memories are most of the time actually very interesting, but they could have been done in such a better way that would have been more emotion, like brought out more emotion in the character, and just been 100 times more interesting.
I get that they're so separated from the game that it doesn't necessarily make them feel additive to the overall experience.
But I wanted to. We finally got some conversation and emails that I thought would be good for the podcast, so I had to throw those out. I know it's not Terranigma, and I'm sorry for the people that are listening that actually enjoys when we talk about the game we're supposed to be covering.
Well, now I'm waiting for next week when everyone will write in support of Breath of Fire 3.
Yeah, so you can't say that anymore, Jesse. So people that aren't aware, Jesse made those comments last week, and then somebody that was on this podcast deleted him from our thread, so he couldn't be part of the podcast anymore. So you gotta calm down with those comments, Jesse.
Wait, what?
I thought he might have just gotten sick of the email responses and taken himself off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get rid of him.
I was gonna add him back on, but I was like, maybe he didn't want his inbox getting blown up.
What?
Trello ghost attacked you.
Yeah, the ghost of Trello.
I don't know. I didn't take myself off the card. I just woke up to an email in my inbox saying you've been taken off and you've been put back on. So I don't.
You just kept getting added and subtracted, but you were only added after a comment was made, and by the time the next comment was made, you were deleted. So you were never part of any of the conversation.
He was posting the whole time. Anyway, that's some inside baseball.
Yeah. But yeah, nobody's going to write in about Breath of Fire 3 because everybody knows Dragon Quarter's better, so sorry.
Man, Breath of Fire 3, I still am surprised that one's your favorite. Like,
I like the child arc. I like fishing. I like learning all the skills.
It does have the best RPG fishing ever.
Yeah, yes.
From what I understand, Breath of Fire 3 is actually like, isn't it the fan favorite?
I think so.
I would say 2.
Okay.
There's just like a lot of little nooks and crannies you can explore in that world.
Sorry.
What?
That was really childish.
Okay, I'm just gonna ignore that.
Ignore me, yeah.
Wow.
I think it's fair that you can say it goes on longer than perhaps it needs to, but I was enjoying the whole ride. So, anyways,
You can say RPGs.
Yeah, right.
What?
He was just saying RPGs is too long usually.
Oh, I completely agree. I've never really, it never bothered me, or really, I didn't notice, or I ignored it until we started doing this podcast, and there was always like a time frame on it.
Yeah.
And I've been very, very cognizant of how long things take now.
Like, does it have to be this long?
Right, and so then I'm always like, whenever I play any of the game, I'm not like you, Davey, because I know Davey writes down these crazy notes. Some of you guys have seen some of the stuff he writes down. It's insane. But I'm always thinking of like, this is a topic we can talk about, or how does this relate to this, or how does this relate to death, or like, I'm trying to think of broad narrative things.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm paying much more attention to the pacing of the storytelling. And even like with this, there was a part of me that felt, we finished chapter 2, we saved the world. Let's end this game. And I'm fine with this continuing, but and then that's a very, very minor. I mean, it's much more in like the last story. I noticed that much more. I was like, I felt like they were dragging things on, and other times rush through things. But as a whole, it's like, yeah, why are some of these games 40 hours? And like we're planning some of these other RPGs out, and it's like, why is this game 80 hours? Like I remember the story of this game. That this should not be an 80-hour game.
Right.
But that's a whole different conversation.
Well, I will say, in Terranigma's favor, it's pretty short, and it does manage to change things up like consistently. Like Chapter 3 feels like a whole different beast from Chapters 1, 2, and 4, because 4 is really just the final boss.
Even the different dungeons, I feel like there's enough difference.
Yeah, that's true. It's because this game's really focused on theming, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's concise in its whimsy.
And and also exploring different parts of the world and doing a good job.
Oh, yeah.
Making each area distinct.
It's
Yeah.
fun to check out the world map and see like the hilarious way that the globe is represented.
It's insane. It makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Go from the Balkans to France and like.
Yeah, I know. It's like a second.
Although I think my favorite traversal thing was walking across a raging river over the backs of some hippos.
That was sick. Oh man, I'm glad you brought that up.
He's like, I talked to the lion, and he's like, I got your back now, man. I'm like, all right, well, I have no idea what that means. I'm gonna wander around. And I didn't, 'cause they didn't really tell you where to go, so I'm just wandering around, and then I just come up to things like, and there's like a monkey or something, a parrot. I don't know. I feel like it's always a parrot, and they're like, the lion told us that you saved Liam. Walk across our backs. I'm like, what? No. Okay, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, I can get down with this.
And then you did a slide attack on top of them.
No, I was very
Nice
respectful of
close.
them because you could
Really?
see, like when you step on them, they bow a little bit. Like I feel
Oh,
bad
yeah.
for these guys. Like I don't know. And then when I've walked in other things, they sink. So I'm like, I'm not messing around with this. I'm gonna sprint across. Hippo's gonna fall in the water. I'm gonna have to redo the whole dungeon.
I just really wonder what was driving the people who made this game. Like, I wonder what they were trying to convey. Like, is it ultimately like just about their worldviews and their spirituality? Because like it gets pretty deep and weird.
Yeah, I'm really. You keep bringing up religion, and kind of things beyond normalness, like almost like a metaphysical.
Supernatural. Sure, yeah.
I really want to delve really deeply into that in the third.
Yeah. Okay.
Just looking at, because I will readily admit I have consulted a walkthrough occasionally, and
Yeah.
they've named some of the sections,
Mhm.
and there is something that's coming up, I believe, in the fourth chapter that has me extremely excited because I've picked up bits and pieces of kind of what you're saying with that religion and different philosophies and whatnot,
Mhm.
and I think that will tie it together perfectly for me. So I'm actually super, super excited to tackle that in the third episode.
Yeah, because like the deepest it's gone with that stuff so far is definitely the goat thing. Like that got really weird and dark.
Yeah.
And I like that when you're done, like when you tell the goat lady that you're not going to eat her husband with her, she's like, you're okay, but you're gonna have to get stronger if you want to keep traveling alone. Like that's pretty harsh. Like she was like, okay, but you got to grow up. You got to learn when these things matter and when they don't.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we actually delve into some more of that. I to bring it outside of this, I've been watching Fear the Walking Dead.
Ew.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
yeah, whatever. And the great thing about it, beyond like just The Walking Dead as a whole, is you have that transition period, and so I like the same thing in like Hunger Games and whatnot. Is you have a perception of what the world is and your place in it, and you have to change your priorities to understand and adapt to your situation.
Yeah.
And that to the detriment of Ark, he is not adapted whatsoever. He went from being a troublesome little kid in a town to going on these world travels, and the world's all crappy, but he has not adapted in any of his perspective of the world while doing that.
Yeah, he's just a plucky RPG protagonist.
And so that was kind of a hint towards you need to understand what the world is. You need to be something better or something more. And I'm really hoping that it starts delving into some of that.
Yeah, it gets especially like right at the end towards the end of chapter 3 and chapter 4 get pretty dark and heavy. So look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see where this game goes. And I hope it doesn't let me down.
No.
So all right, well, I think
Oh, did we talk about next month's game though?
dude. I think that's gonna do it for this podcast. We're really happy you came along for this trip of 5-2. Of course, we're going to be back shortly with 5-3 to wrap up Terranigma. But excitingly, we have a game picked out for October, as Davey already alluded to. We kind of try to do a Halloween theme, so we try to do something spooky or creepy. And we ended up not doing something spooky or creepy, but there's vampires in it, so I guess it counts. Sure.
There's
Yeah.
lots of Halloween in it.
Yeah. So, and I know this was something that was asked for on the boards as well, so it kind of works out serendipitously. But we are going to do Castlevania Symphony of the Night in October,
Yeah, boy.
Woohoo!
which I think all of us are super excited about.
I'm gonna play it on an arcade stick for the first time and see how that goes.
I'm going to play it for the first time ever, so I'm going to see how that goes.
I thought you said you played it, just not like the whole thing.
No. So, I have played all of the GBA, DS, and 3DS. Or is there any 3DS? No, there's no 3DS.
No.
I've played everything beyond the DS of the Castlevania series.
Okay.
That was kind of my first. Circle of the Moon was the first time I ever played those games. And I kind of. You guys will unfortunately have to hear this again. I kind of like, yeah, this is fine. And then it was when I played Shadow Complex that I fell in love with those types of games. And since then, went back and played like the Metroids. And I really deep dove into all the newer Castlevanias. And everybody's always said you have to go back and play this game, so I'm super excited to go back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never
No,
played it or
I love freaking Metroidvania games.
You say you haven't played this before either, Peter?
Nope, this is gonna be my first time.
Nice.
Oh, I had no idea.
That's awesome.
Snap.
Good. And Peter and I will both be on it. I believe Davey, you're on it as well.
Yes.
We'll see the triumphant return of Marcos, and then we'll actually have somebody doing their debut onto the podcast, so that'll be exciting as well. So
There is a Castlevania on 3DS. It's just bad. It's one
Yeah.
of the Lord's spin-off.
Oh yeah, I don't count those. When I say I've played everything that's new of Castlevania, I do not count
Yeah.
the Lord of Shadow games. So
Nobody counts those.
yeah.
I mean, it's Carlisle, and he's okay, I guess.
So yeah, get excited for us to wrap up Terranigma, and then hopefully you guys will continue on with us in October. In the meantime, as you saw, we will read anything that comes through on the email and most of the stuff that comes on the board. So you can always send emails to retro@rpgfan.com. Make sure to jump on those boards, voice your thoughts. Apparently, you don't even have to talk about the game we're playing anymore, and we'll still read it. So just say something.
Yeah, email us about video games.
No, I'm super excited. I thought I was born in this country and I already had citizenship, but I'm super excited to get my second citizenship. So absolutely. But
Let's make it dual citizenship.
Ooh, dual American.
How
Yeah,
much freedom is that?
all the freedoms.
Is that like freedom quantified?
It's freedom squared.
I'll take mega-sized freedom, please.
I'd like the freedom with fries.
But yeah, so get on there, make your voice heard. We'd really appreciate it if you guys jumped on iTunes or whatever podcast device avenue that you guys are listening to. Get on there, write some sort of comment review. Really helps get the podcast out to more eyes. So we'd really appreciate that. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at JD Curry. Davey doesn't have Twitter.
I'm at I Have Fury. Yeah, he does.
I don't use it though. It's hard and scary, Peter. How do you tweet?
Twitter is a wonderful and beautiful thing that lets you communicate with the world and occasionally post stupid pictures.
Yeah,
How was Twitter made?
by a bird. What about you, Jesse? What Twitter do you have?
At Woo Goes There. Woo is spelled WOO. And I'm kind of with Davey. I tweet sometimes, but
I feel like it should have been whoop. There it is. I'm pretty sure I made that joke last week too.
I think one of you did at
I
least.
think you did.
I feel like you did.
Yeah, we can make it happen. I'll just tweet inane music lyrics.
Oh, really?
You'd be probably one of the most followed Twitters then.
BJ.
But yeah, you can always send me messages either about questions about the podcast, like why isn't it up yet? What are you guys going to play next? Or ask questions for the podcast there as well. But yeah, that is going to do it for us here at Retro Encounter, RPG fans' #1 game club podcast. Thanks, guys.
Oh yeah.